Hello goat lovers, today we are going to talk about infertility in goats. How common is it, and is there anything we can do about it? Hello goat lovers, this is Crystal with Blue Cactus Dairy Goats. What started with 4 chickens and 2 goats quickly grew into a lifestyle. So we moved, got more land, and of course, more goats. Follow our adventures as we grow our herd, our food, and our family. So it's safe to say those of us who are breeding right now, we're a good ways into breeding. Now's the time you might be able to notice that goat didn't take again, or maybe you're breeding something from last year that didn't get bred, and so you have some concerns. It is the time of year that I get a lot of emails and a lot of questions, some people commenting, just why isn't my goat getting pregnant? So we're going to go over some of the causes that may cause infertility in your goats. So luckily it is extremely uncommon for a buck to not be fertile. It's not something you're going to come across very often, but some of the causes, it could be due to nutritional deficiency. Maybe they're not up on their minerals, maybe they're kind of a starving animal, maybe they're too fat. So typically skinny or fat doesn't play as large a role in bucks as it does with a doe, but either way, if they're lacking in those vital minerals that they need, copper, selenium, zinc, iron, any of those, it could cause defects with their sperm. So that might be one of the reasons. So of course always make sure that your bucks are fed properly and getting all the proper minerals that they need. Another cause for bucks to be infertile or not being able to get a doe pregnant could be age. Bucks' average lifespan is about 8 to 10 years. So it's a lot shorter than a doe's lifespan. Just simply because every year they go into rut. It's extremely stressful on them. It really takes a lot out of a buck. There's a lot of fighting going on, and just very stressful. A lot of hormones kicking around in there. So anyway, as they get older, their sperm count will drop. So they won't be able to clear as many does as, say, they were obviously at a 5-year-old or a 3-year-old. Another thing also, as they do get older, they have aches and pains. They might not be able to get up on a doe as he would like to, or as he used to be able to. Again, there's a lot of fighting that goes on with bucks, through the rut and everything else that, they get weaker in their older age. So those aches and pains might deter them from mounting as much as they would have when they were younger. It is also very uncommon for a goat to be genetically unable to breed, aka a buck being a hermaphrodite, is very rare, less than 1%. So in bucks, we got nutrition, we got age, and we have potential extremely rare, maybe have a hermaphrodite. So the does. There are more reasons that might cause a doe to not be able to get bred than obviously a buck. So let's go over some of those. A free marten is a sterile female sibling of a male. So in other words, there was a doe and a buck inside its mama's belly. Now, through the gestation period, the buck's hormones transferred through the placental wall and caused the female to be infertile and unable to breed, in other words, a dud. So with does as well, it's less than 1% that your animal is genetically unable to get bred. Again, extremely uncommon. Another thing that might cause your doe to become infertile would be cystic ovaries. Now, this typically could happen if a breeding doe is of age and has never been bred for years. So as they get older, it's really not healthy for a doe to not be bred when she's supposed to be bred and of breeding age. It can cause, issues down the line. making them infertile. Cystic ovaries is one. So if, obviously a vet would have to pinpoint that, and they can give hormonal injections, and sometimes they're able to correct that from, and be able to get them to be bred. So that would be something, the cost of that would be pretty high. So in a lot of these herds, if they get cystic ovaries, they may be culled, just simply because the cost to correct that once it has taken place is pretty high. Something else that could cause infertility in your doe would be if they have a infection, being as like a yeast infection or something. That has caused does to not be able to get bred. So giving antibiotics and hoping to fix the yeast infection, which I actually knew somebody, her doe just continually had a yeast infection. She had kids twice. They were beautiful kids. She won 2 legs in the ring, and she just could never get her to get rid of that yeast infection. So she couldn't ever breed her again. So that's something that can cause your goat to not be able to get bred. The most common, absolutely hands down, is improper feeding. They are malnourished. They're either overfed, underfed, or lacking important vital minerals that they need. Copper and selenium are 2 very important minerals that help, it's going to help them come into heat, it's going to help them get bred, and it's going to help them stay pregnant for 5 months, making sure that they have those important minerals that they need. So overly fat does, it is hard for them to get bred. The reason being is because fat layers over their reproductive organs and makes it really hard for them to get bred. Now, I have a really super fat doe who gets bred for me every year. I don't know, I'm not like purposely overfeeding her by any means. Her name is Sky. We call her Big Montana. But we're lucky that she's not having issues, because once you get a goat fat, once a doe gets fat, it is extremely hard to get that weight off of them. And it could, again, cause problems where they're not getting bred because the fat is layered over their reproductive organs. If you have a doe that is extremely underweight, this is also very problematic and could cause your doe to not be fertile. And as well, if they happen to get bred, for them to be able to carry long term and have a healthy kid at the end of it is very unlikely. So that's another cause. So if they're starving, or if they're heavy overload of worms, so they're very underweight, whatever the case may be, they do have to be at a good body conditioning, a good amount of meat on them for to be able to conceive and again carry those babies the whole 5 months without aborting or having very weak kids. Some does are actually very healthy, but their body weight has dropped because they've been milking. They're just such heavy milkers that it takes a lot out of them. And, so a lot of people, or some people, some herds, what they'll do is called flushing. So they're going to give extra feed to their goats, to their does, to make sure that they have a good amount of meat on them. And that would obviously help with them getting pregnant, with them staying pregnant and carrying full term and having healthy babies. So it is extremely important to always be feeding your does, your bucks, all of your goats, a very nutritionally balanced diet. They're going to need that food, that healthy food. They're going to need the minerals as well. So just making sure that we're keeping our goats healthy nutritionally. So again, guys, those are some of the things that can cause your doe to become infertile. Your doe to not be able to have babies, which would not be good. So the good news is things we can't fix about infertility in our does isn't very common. In most cases, it can be corrected, it can be fixed. And again, the most common reason is lack in nutrition. They are not healthy. So make sure that your animal has its minerals, copper, selenium. Make sure that they're fed well, not overfed and not underfed. Of course, make sure that they're always wormed, and just healthy all around goats. And you shouldn't run into too many issues with infertility. Alright guys, so to that I will say, those of you who are breeding, I hope you are having great success and of course not running into any infertility issues. But either way, if you are, hope this video helped you out, and I will see you guys again soon.